Hello, everybody. My name's Aaron. This is the shorter version of my testimony. I recorded the more in-depth version of it on another video that I will post in the description below if you're interested. It's over an hour though, so I understand people can't watch the full thing. They don't have the attention span, or they don't have the time. Because I don't really have that much time to watch an hour-long YouTube video sometimes these days, so I completely understand. So I'll get started. As I said, my name's Aaron. I am 39 years old. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Lived here my whole life. I still live here. I lived here my whole life, other than I spent some time in the Army. Grew up in a white middle class family. We did not really go to church much. I was in Boy Scouts for quite a few years. I actually got my Eagle Scout when I was like 16, but I don't know, the devil doesn't play favorites. He'll get you whatever your background is. He doesn't play favorites. I was exposed to pornography at a young age, I think like 7 years old or something, if I remember correctly. Uh, then, yeah, I got addicted to porn with dial up internet back in like 98 or something, a long time ago, 1998. I was 11, 12, something like that. It sucked me in. I got drank alcohol in like seventh grade, I think it was, and was drinking, quite frequently, not all the time, but quite frequently by seventh, eighth grade, randomly. When I go to my friend's house. I smoked marijuana in eighth grade. Up at Boy Scout camp, oddly enough. The devil had perverted that place, and the Boy Scouts a long time before I ever got in it, and I joined the Army after high school. Smoked a lot of weed in high school, did some other drugs, but I joined the Army, and then I that was a culture shock. Me and my dad were having some issues, so that's why I joined. I don't know, I turned into a really bad alcoholic in the Army, failed the drug test for cocaine. I didn't deploy to any combat. I deployed to a combat zone, but I never saw any actual combat, so that was nice. I got to pay, for being in a combat zone, but I didn't have to get, traumatized or kill people and stuff, so I guess that was God protecting me, And then when I got out of the Army in 2010, and that was when my life really hit the, got out and partied a bunch. Had like $30,000 saved up, from being deployed, and got out. And because I got out right after I got back from deployment, because they stopped blasting me to keep me in longer to deploy me. Excuse me. I got addicted to Percocet 30s when I was partying. I had done some harder drugs, cocaine, and some LSD and mushrooms, and tried a little bit of opiates here and there, with pain pills and stuff, but I got addicted to Percocet 30s, oxycodone 30s, and it just, boom, destroyed my life really fast, and then I progressed, and I don't know, I just started selling my stuff, because I didn't have money. I get, dropped out of school. I, ended up going to rehab for like 30 days at the VA, Veterans Affairs. Didn't really take it seriously. Kept smoking weed, kept having sex, with women, and looking at porn and stuff like that afterwards, and drinking alcohol. I thought that the pills were different than the weed and the alcohol. I could keep doing those, the weed and the alcohol, but just could stay away from the pills, because in my opinion, the weed never had destroyed my life before, even though it was. I was delusional, like most stoners are. Most stoners, what I did for years, thought that weed wasn't a drug, which it's a drug. Anything that affects the chemical, imbalances in your body, that affects the chemicals in your body, is a drug. And then there's, if it affects the neurotransmitters in your brain and causes, like marijuana causes hallucinations and all sorts of stuff. THC is a minor hallucinogen. It's a drug. You're delusional, and you're deceived if you think it's not a drug. That's my point. And it's demonic. I won't even get into that right now. But let's see. Yeah, I got out of rehab, went back to the mess, Then this time started smoking heroin because it was cheaper than the pills. Tried, I think it was around that time that I tried Adderall pills, prescription Adderall. It's basically meth in a pill form. And loved it, Then my life got really destroyed. It just, you know, my ex and me, I think, had an abortion or two by that point. Uh, yeah, and because we were messing around, obviously, without protection. Then, uh, then I it destroyed my life. I stole money from my family, stole some stuff, stole a bunch of stuff from family. Lost my job. My parents family had an intervention with me. I went to rehab for an inpatient at the VA this time for I think it was 100 days. It worked. It helped for a while, but I just kept the women. That was my still is. I don't do it anymore, but you know I'm attracted to women, so I don't have that lusting issues so much anymore like I used to. But it was like my kryptonite, just hanging out with women again, the wrong women, messing around with them. Started smoking weed again, sucked me back in to hanging out with my ex again, and then she was shooting up by this point. She wasn't clean, and and then I started shooting up heroin and shooting up meth, and it made me destroy my life. Like I lost my job at UPS. I had a job, a good job too, and I became homeless. Never been homeless before. That was crazy. Like I was dumpster diving and all sorts of stuff to be homeless in Arizona. And it was the summertime. I was out on the streets, like July, the end of July of 2016. It was crazy. Then yeah, like I didn't really believe in God at this time, or I believed in a God, but like I don't know, he just wasn't personal to me. I thought Christianity was a joke, so many fake Christians, which there are, it's I don't judge Christianity based off the Christians. If you become a Christian because of other Christians, you won't be a Christian for very long because people are broken and fake, and the devil's real and manipulates and perverts the church and stuff. But yeah, so I'm homeless. Then September 1st, 2016, an event happened that changed my entire life. I was riding a bicycle with no helmet on at 33rd Avenue and Indian School Road here in Phoenix. That's the area I was homeless in. And witnesses said I was crossing the street and a pickup truck came from behind me, hit me going like 45 miles an hour, maybe 50 miles an hour. They don't really know. I went over the hood of the truck, came down on the back of my head. Witnesses said it sounded like a baseball bat breaking because my head hit the ground so hard. I don't know. I got knocked out, had an out-of-body experience. For the longest, I didn't remember it, but like about 2.5 years later, 3 years later, I was in solitary confinement in jail, and I remembered everything. I remembered having an out-of-body experience. I'm floating above my body. I was miserable at this point because I'd relapsed multiple times. I hated myself. I hated myself. I was depressed, suicidal. I wanted to be dead, but I didn't want to kill myself because I had a belief of like an afterlife, and I just knew that killing myself wasn't, you know, fix my problems. I didn't think, because there's an eternal part of me and you that I believed in at the time, and I still obviously do. But yeah, I just didn't think that when I died that it was the end of everything, and so I wanted to be dead, and I'm floating above my body, and I was at peace for the first time in my life. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. There's a lot of blood. There was just blood pouring out of my head, and I was like, get comfort. And then there was a light, weird light, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a light, and then there was a voice, a man's voice that said, Aaron, it's not your time. And I was like, what? Like, no. I was like, you got to let me go. Like, don't do this to me, and said, no, I can't do that. You're going to do big things. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm a homeless heroin addict. And it said, just wait and see. And then I woke up in the ICU at St. Joseph's Hospital. About 8 hours later, I was all messed up, but I was alive. I was intubated, had a tube down my throat. I had 27 staples in my head. My head was like the size of like a watermelon. I had a traumatic brain injury. I had lost like a liter of blood or something. I had to get an emergency blood transfusion. I had 5 broken ribs right next to each other on my side. My left lung was collapsed on the bottom lobe of it. They had a tube in my side. I had road rash. I had fractures in 3 of my vertebrae in my back. I was just messed up, but I wasn't dead. And so It was crazy. And they were telling me, lecturing me, most people should have been dead. The doctor telling me, be grateful you have a harder head than most people, because most people's head would hit the ground and crack like an egg with the forcers hit the ground with. Yet somehow my skull did not crack. Miraculously, my skull did not crack. And a miracle I survived, and even more of a miracle, they let me out of the hospital 5 days later on my own. Like, I could walk, not well, I was painfully walking, but I could walk. I was not paralyzed. They said I should have been paralyzed, brain dead, in a coma, missing limbs. I was not. And crazy. Fast forward 6 months later or so, after a miserable 6 months, I have no injuries to this day. This was September 1st, 2016. I have no injuries to this day. You can ask anybody that knows me. I work out regularly. And so, yeah, I don't it still took 2.5 years for me to get, I was being gang stalked, and crazy stuff was happening to me when I was homeless. Crazy stuff. I was hating myself. But 2.5 years later, I found Jesus in jail, because the Holy Spirit was showing himself to me all over the place out there. So, I can't get into it. I get more into it in the longer version of this video. And then I went to jail a bunch of times, got arrested illegally. They didn't investigate, the police didn't investigate the accident. It was a hit and run. The guy still never is found to this day, but I let that go. I forgive the man. I bless him. I'm like, Lord, I pray for his salvation. I don't care. I don't need any money from that, or anything, or revenge. I don't. That's toxic. Revenge is I let that go a long time ago. I let it go with the police for not investigating it, because I held that in for a long time. I was mad at God. I was mad at the police for not investigating it. I was mad at the guy who hit me. I was mad at myself for even being there at that time. I just hated everybody in the world back then. So, and then, I found Jesus in 2019 though, and my life changed, and I still continue, I got off the streets, off the drugs. I still continued to sin a lot, with the porn and the women, and the weed. And then I don't know, I went to jail again for an aggravated assault. Crazy story, some other time I'll tell it. And because I assaulted people that were gang stalking me. And then, I went to prison. I got out in 2022. Got a lot closer to God in jail and prison that time around. Took my walk way more seriously. I found out about the Phoenix Dream Center when I was homeless a long time ago, and I felt like the Lord told me to come here. Well, he made it very clear he wanted me to come here. So, because I'm actually here right now, I work here now. I went through the program, changed my life, found out about deliverance, deliverance, casting out demons and overcoming lies, that you've come to believe, and, forgiving people and forgiving yourself, and helping close these doors at these demons, because the spirit world is real. Demons are real. Drugs are like demonic, and witchcraft and sorcery and all sorts of stuff. And I was just loaded with demons and miserable. And I got delivered from a bunch of stuff, and God's changed my entire life. I used to be full of rejection and fear and anger and lust and rage and just judgmental, critical, pornography, masturbation for decades, drugs, women, obsessed with women, staring at them, their body, and I couldn't control it. I've been delivered from all this stuff. It's crazy. So if you're struggling from that stuff, I promise you can get set free. Christians can have demons, so that's a lie from the devil that they can't. I was Holy Spirit filled, speaking in tongues, still couldn't stop looking at porn, coughing up demons, and stuff. I promise is real. I don't care what your doctrine says. Your doctrine is false if you believe Christians cannot have demons. You are believing a lie from the devil, if that's what you believe. I am now in a deliverance ministry. God has called me into that, and he's called me to school to become a chaplain. So I'm in school to become a chaplain now. I now work at the Phoenix Dream Center. I'm in full-time ministry. Most of my time is spent in ministry or going to, working on school. I'm now in the ministry at the Arizona Deliverance Center. I help set people free and counsel people with counseling people with my chaplaincy for stuff, and through here at the Dream Center. It's an amazing, fulfilling job, helping and set people free, help people get set free is what I meant to say, and just see the changes. Just children return to their families. Felonies reduced to misdemeanors. I should have spent 10 years in prison possibly for the charges I had, and I spent 2.5 years, and I got off probation after 5 years. 5-year probation after 2.5 years. It was amazing. I'm getting to help mentor veterans on probation now. Uh, it's amazing the things that God has done. I don't get the things that used to set me off, make me upset, angry, depressed. I let them go to the Lord these days. He can set you free, and He can change and renew your mind. And if you keep your eyes on Him, that the problems that used to just wreck me and upset me and get me angry don't even faze me anymore. They don't. Like, it's truly amazing. It's hard work, though. I'm not saying it'll happen overnight, but I promise you can be set free, and God is real, and He's calling you, and it is His will that everybody gets saved. But fortunately, a lot of people want to live in rebellion, and I did for years. And they don't want to see the things that are right in front of them. It's so obvious once you have these veils and these blinders removed, these spiritual blinders. That I promise He loves you and He cares about you, and He loves me and He cares about me, and He set me free. He has, from the bondages of my sin and from these demons that were tormenting me for years, and these PTSD from the accident, and rejection and shame and condemnation and mental illness, and anxiety and depression and addictions. He set me free from all of these, and my life is truly amazing now, and I'm filled with this joy and this peace, and I get to help other people all the time now. All the time. It's amazing. It's amazing. And He provides all my needs. He just gave me a car for free through a friend of mine, because I got my license back the other day after it had been revoked for 5 years. And now I have a car for free, and it works. It's 2007 Toyota Corolla. It works fine. It's amazing. So thank you, Lord, for providing. He will provide all your needs from His riches and glory, it says. That doesn't mean you get everything you want. No. A lot of stuff is idols, our houses, our cars, our kids, our money, our jobs, our tangible things, our relationships, and a lot of stuff can be idols, meaning it's between us and God. It's more important. It's basically a God that we've created that's between us and the real God. So come to Jesus. He's calling you. He calls you through people like me. Yeah, it's crazy Christians. Yeah, I'm so crazy. Promise. Like, the spirit world is real. God is so real, and He's calling you. God bless you all. Have a good night.